This is Kathy Balman. Her superpowers are a teen naturalist outdoor program. She's located at Southwest USA. Her speciality is bats. So Kathy quit her job in 2011 to become a stay-at-home homeschool mum to her two children. She's also a naturalist, a chronic pain warrior, artist, wanderluster, writer, field trip expert, community science addict, homeschool group leader, literacy advocate, volunteer, and social media guru. Kathy is passionate about getting children immersed in nature, which she's been doing with her own children. It's this passion that motivated to create Educating Children Outdoors, ECO, which I'm just going to talk about. She is an AZ, so I need to put this in context, it's a big breath to actually say this bit. She is an AZ certified environmental educator, outdoor wildlife leader, conservation leader, National Geographic certified educator, certified phenology leader, president of the Maricopa County Parks Master Naturalist Chapter, secretary for the Native Plant Society, and soon to be the vice president of the Desert Rivers Audubon and services on the AZ Association for Environmental Education Professional Development Committee. And I take it at some point, Kathy, you sleep as well amongst all this. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Kathy Balman.
Hello, my name is Kathy Balman, and I am an environmental educator in Arizona, and I run programs in Phoenix and Tucson areas. I am the program director and the founder of the program. It's called Educating Children Outdoors. And our mission is to get as many kids as we can outdoors learning through experiential experiences. And I'm a huge fan of community science and getting youth engaged and collecting data. So this presentation is engaging youth through the science of bioacoustics. I actually have 5 different programs for 5 different age groups. One of those is our Teen Naturalist, which we piloted last year. We had 3 teens in the program, and we were going to a site in Marana, Arizona, which is really close to Tucson. And we were doing a lot of collecting of data, so trying to observe the biodiversity at the site. We were collecting phenology data, we were doing water quality testing, soil testing, and a bunch of other things. One of the things that I really want to do is dispel some of the bat myths. And so getting youth involved and engaged early on can really help change people's minds about bats. Sure, you're well aware of many of the myths, like they carry rabies, that they'll suck your blood, they nest in your hair. And so I want to dispel those myths. I want to grow appreciation for bats because they are so important. They help keep our insect populations down. Some of them are important pollinators, especially out here in the Southwest. I wanted to get kids doing science. So actually using scientific equipment and, collaborating and providing data for different community science initiatives, and hopefully encourage future action. So, getting these students involved early on, they can then be the voices for the bats to help ensure that we don't have more becoming threatened, which we currently have 200 listed as threatened, or even worse, go extinct. So why did I choose bioacoustics? Well, they can be hard to teach about. We don't see them, or if we do, we don't really see them up close. Very few zoos have them on display because they are hard to care for, and obviously we can't hear them. So that's where Wild Acoustics steps in. And the Echometer Touch 2 was an affordable way for me to introduce youth to observing bats, even when we cannot see them. So these photos, I've actually got to see some bats up close, thanks to some environmental educator certifications that I took. But not everybody's that lucky. I actually got to go bat mist netting as well 2 times. So I heard about the meter at two different conferences I was attending last year, and I started saving to get one. I ended up buying it a little sooner than I had hoped because the one site we were going to in Marana with the teen naturalists, our first couple trips we saw bats, and so the students were really interested, and they wanted to be sure we were counting them in our data. So I purchased the meter, and when I showed the kids, they were really excited, and one of them exclaimed like, "Whoa, that's so cool. Is that really the bat?" He didn't believe me. So how do we use the meter? I mostly use it with our teen naturalist program, and we have 3 teens in that program. So we've helped it to log the biodiversity at the site we're monitoring. We have an iNaturalist project where we upload any of our observations that we make, observations our trail cameras make, and then the bat calls. We've also used it to participate in the City Nature Challenge. So last year was the first year Phoenix was part of that. And we wanted to make sure we got some bats. So this is a photo of my daughter using it. We didn't even have to get out of the car. She could just hold it out of the car window and record. We also use it to observe like nature in our own backyard. So we just realized for the first time like last week that we actually had bats. So of course we ran and got the meter and took it out back and started recording. It also, the meter just inspires students. Like even if we're not using it 100% correctly, I'm still learning, how to make the best observations and put those on my naturalist, and still learning the kaleidoscope software. But even if we're not doing all that, like just hearing the calls and seeing the sonograms just inspires the students. And, they get really excited. And then, hopefully, ultimately, it encourages youth to take action about raising awareness about bats, why they need our help, why they're so important to our ecosystem. I decided to include a little video of the bats that we had in our yard. And we have some future plans. So obviously we want to expand our teen naturalist program. So we're hoping that we get some more teens involved. And we want to reach more people as well. So we have some other programs that we'll be running, like a book club, and we're actually doing this bat science comic. I teach another program called Wildlife Wonders. And so that will be a nighttime class, and we'll be doing nighttime creatures. And then one of our groups of our homeschool program will be doing amazing mammals in the fall. So of course, we're going to be highlighting bats. Some of the other goals that I have are learning kaleidoscope so that we can enhance our observations. So we realized during the City Nature Challenge that we weren't putting up the calls correctly. So we need to improve that so that our data is actually usable. So learning how to put those up, and someone on there was actually on iNaturalist was helpful and sort of explain what to do. And she even shared a video with me. So learning how to do that. We want to join some of the existing bat projects on iNaturalist. And then also some of the programs like Bats for Agave, which is run through the National Phenology Network. And then there's some others on SciStarter that we would like to get involved with. I have hopes to eventually purchase the Song Meter Micro so that we can also record sounds at our sites. We do have several camera traps, so I think having a sound meter down there too would be helpful. We've observed coyotes and javelina and bobcats, so recording some of those calls would be pretty exciting. And we are going to be participating in a program in September called Parks for Pollinators. So we do plan to hopefully go out in the evening as well and record bat calls to see if we get any of the nectar feeding bats. I'm a huge fan of sharing resources, so I put together a list of resources for educators. I guess I should highlight too, Wildlife Acoustics actually has a Discover Bats curriculum, which is absolutely amazing. I was really surprised at how big a book it is. It has loads of activities, and some activities not necessarily using the echometer, but just getting kids to learn about the different bat species. And so if you go to this bit.ly link, you can download a PDF that has all these resources and hyperlinks, as well as some of the community science ones that I mentioned. And that is it. If you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me at any time. There's my email and my website and my phone number. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. I'm a bat person anyway, so I'm bat biased, so I'm on your side. Again, hopefully you're happy to answer questions because they're coming in thick and fast. I noticed a couple of people have just popped them in the chat. If you can put them in the Q&A, just so we can just keep a tabs on it, and we'll make sure we get round to you. So if I read them out, are you happy to give an answer? So when you're using the echometer, it often will report several options for which bat species it is, and that you're hearing, rather than giving an absolute identification for that particular bat. How do you report that uncertainty in iNaturalist?
So during the City Nature Challenge, I actually did mess up and I wasn't submitting it correctly. So there was a lady who runs one of the Arizona bat iNat projects who did reach out to me and explained everything I should be putting up. So she told me that take a screenshot of the sonogram and to upload that, and then to upload what the app thought the ID was, and then also to upload the actual bat call. And so then, the great thing about iNaturalist is it's a collaborative platform. So even if my ID isn't correct, hopefully someone else knows what that is based on the sonogram and the call. And so, with iNaturalist, what is it, 2 or 3 people have to agree on an ID before it becomes research grade. So that's, really great, because even if I'm not right, hopefully somebody knows what it is.
Yeah, and it is, I mean, the classifiers are okay, but the rarer the species, the more difficulty the classifier tends to have, because we have fewer calls, so it all becomes a little bit more difficult. So it's good that you've got like a backstop, I suppose, just in case. It's a good question. Someone's put in, I'm working in some places where we don't know if there's bats or not, but we'd like to survey for distribution in likely areas. Are there any meters that act like trail cams, so they only start audio when they detect something of a certain frequency range? I think we can both answer this.
You might be able to answer that better than I can.
Okay, so handheld detectors, so things like this that we're hopefully giving away, so that plugs into your phone, it will only record a sound when ultrasonic sound is in the air. So it has a trigger which sets the units off. For our minis, for things like this, these recorders, these record bats as well, and it's the same sort of thing. They'll just sit there, they'll wait for an ultrasonic noise to appear or to hear, and they'll start recording, and when that ultrasonic noise disappears, it closes the file. So what you end up with are lots and lots of short bat files. Each file tends to have a bat on it, unless you get some really high frequency crickets, and then you get crickets as well. So let's have a look. Some more questions. Thanks for the talk. Can you give some examples of how camera traps and sound recorders can be analyzed together to enhance your collected data?
Yeah, so our camera traps, they detect movement. But once that, they only take either a couple photos or a short video. So we don't generally get an awful lot of sound on those because generally it's the animal just passing by. So, we are hoping to get a sound meter so we can put it down there, because we've heard like the coyotes howling when we're leaving, because we generally leave the site around dusk. So having that additional, because I don't know that our camera traps have ever really recorded a sound other than maybe some birds in the background. So yeah, I think having a sound meter down there, we'll be able to collect a lot more data on the animals that aren't triggering our camera traps. Yeah.
That's quite interesting anyway, because I kind of thought the same. That question came in, I thought, oh yeah, I agree. How would you merge the two things? But in effect, they're two completely different data sets, aren't they? Where you've either got something where you're going to hear something and you've got a nice big bubble of sound you're going to capture, or you've got something that's really targeted, like the camera traps, and they're targeted in quite a small area. So it's just, is it going to walk past? You probably have to be more strategic in placing your camera traps than you do in your sound recorders.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we get a lot of waving plants on the camera trap.
Yeah, I get waving plants on my song meter sometimes. I put them out badly and then I get a plant doing this constantly, Somebody's put in, we have a citizen science project for bats in Lima in Peru, acoustic monitoring and video recording, and we're planning to work with children. What would your advice for us, or something you wish you would have known beforehand? So amazed for your project. Congratulations. So if you could start your project afresh now, would you do anything different? Is there anything that you'd say, oh, I wish we'd done that? Or
yeah, I think learning the kaleidoscope program to sort of analyze the calls a little bit better. I'm still figuring that out. So doing that beforehand, like I said, the kids, even though we're still learning how to use it, the kids, they just get excited, over just seeing the sonogram and hearing it. So even when we're not using it right, they're still super excited about it. And then they get really interested in wanting to learn more and do more. So yeah, just learning to use it maybe a little bit better before I introduce it to students. And yeah, just maybe doing a little bit more research on like the local bats, what we could maybe be hearing, and like maybe making, I actually just started a frog watch chapter here in Arizona as well. And one of the things they suggest doing is making a document of what, like a phenology chart. So, we don't get the same bats all throughout the year because we do have a lot that migrate through. So making a phenology chart, I think, would be really helpful for students, so they know like what bats are here in the winter and what bats are here in the summer. So we can that also will help us pinpoint maybe what bat we're hearing.
So it's a wonderful project, and I'm really sort of pleased it's going so well. And good luck for the future. Is I think all me and the hundreds of people that are online will be saying right now. So thanks again. Much appreciated.
Thanks.